Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Forsaken Council Open Mic, Season 3, Episode 12. It is, am I on the right one? Post-Raid FM? Oh, yeah, of course, Post-Raid FM changing new toys. So, I don't know, have we got any slides prepared tonight? I don't think we have we? Or?
No slides.
No slides. So, I don't know. I mean, there's not tons changed since Tuesday's show, Wednesday's show, but we of course have VXP weekend, and we have a Rampages report. What else is there? Is there any other stuff floating about we need to discuss?
Other than the Rampage reports, I don't know if people had a chance to watch that. There was he showed an image of the new Greta's in Infernal Dragon that we're expecting in July.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we go into it, firstly, welcome everyone. Welcome. I don't know if you guys all want to say hey. And guys, for those in the YouTube, we still have a fair amount of slots open. There's like 6 spaces, man, for anyone that wants to come on tonight. There's many spots open, more than there normally usually is. So feel free to jump in.
And Rum just pounced on that.
Oh, quickly.
There's Rum.
Hello.
Yeah, so it's so let's firstly go into Rampage's report. I actually haven't had a chance to watch his report yet, but I did see the image of the new flagship. And what was the date? I think it's quite far away, isn't it? The date.
He mentioned it was supposed to be July,
which is it's a good few months yet.
Yeah, they did mention a while back that it was going to be delayed.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if the 117s as they are now will remain as they are now until we see the 117s, and then perhaps until we see the flagship, and then perhaps they will make the 117s tougher.
It's at the time for a change in the cycle, because they were saying every 4 months they'll swap it out and it started in March, so 4 months from March is July, and that's when we're getting it. So then we might see the next tier of FM, and we might have the Greta flag, and depending on their plan at the time, because so little is set in stone with kicks 4 months out or 1 month out, we might have a new monolith equivalent going forward, or we might not. Who knows? But we should have this flag by then.
Yeah, and did anyone see, on the subject of that as well, did anyone see Rob Carmody put a video up of doing 117s for free?
No,
well, he did. It's the first, I thought I'd give him a mention for that, because he seems like the first person that's cracked it. At least the first video I've seen that says for free. I've not watched it yet, but I noticed he posted it around on a few pages. So
it's got Zealous in there as well.
Oh, is it? Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a chap called Solhex that did one for relatively cheap that was using Zealous, so I'm wondering if it's along the same lines.
Possibly. As I said, I've not had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm going to go and check it. I only clocked it just before the show, so I'll go and check it out and see how it goes. And let's see if we got a few more that's joined in. Welcome, everyone.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Is that George? Is George greeting us with his presence?
It is. I was going to see if it filled up beforehand, but apparently it didn't, so I popped in.
How's it going?
No, it's going well. Going well. So far, so good. Were you guys talking about an FM, the FM, or?
Well, we were kind of on. We started off. We were mentioning Rampage's report and the glimpse of the flag, and then I just said there. I seen a video. I haven't watched it yet, but I seen Rob Carmody put a video up saying FM for free.
Yeah, if you can do the Zealous thing in the Target. The problem at least for me is I don't feel like driving those things. I mean, you have to drive well when you use, because I did it with a gridiron and I did it with 2 Zealous, and I'm just not. I just can't be bothered driving it like that. I just want to go and charge it, get done. I want my FM done as fast as possible. So I'm not.
So you're talking about my style of driving, George.
Yeah, I'm on. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. No worries. Guys, is there anything else that anyone wanted to discuss regarding the FM, or at least Rampage's report?
That's a lot of new prizes for the FM. I'm a
Mhm.
little concerned about that, considering this is a transition time where not a lot of people are still terribly ready. Even though we got offered 20 days of tokens in the raid prior, people are still getting the dragons done. There's no consensus on a quote-unquote best build, which I guess is good because it means you can pick from a lot of options that seem good enough and still get it done.
Yeah.
But it's a little, it's difficult, and it's going to be difficult going forward. As the 115s get less and less points to completely gone, we have to learn this new target. But at least it's being done right now for okay damage, I guess, and the points have not inflated to reflect that the top target is now 500,000 instead of 300,000, which I greatly appreciated. I thought everything was going to be 2 million points this month, and the chest was going to be 2 million and a million in tier 4 and whatever, but that's not the case. So I'm glad.
Yeah, the target so far seems to lend itself to several different builds. You can go with a couple of different options and still come out with decent time. And there's been a couple of people that have actually been able to auto it as well. So, it's an interesting target. It's not going to be a free one unless you really want to drive. But
what do you consider good on auto?
I've gotten down as low as an hour so far, and I saw someone else pulled around 45 or 50 minutes.
Per target?
Yeah.
I autoed 3 of them back to back for 8 coins. So it's not great, but that was acceptable.
Hey, I controlled icebreakers for 6 coins, so I'm setting records as I go.
For one target?
Yeah.
I guess for me, if I could do my FM in one hit, don't care how long the repair is overnight, as long as I could do all of it in one go.
Well, that was what was nice, was being able to, while I was at work, just start it and hit the targets and then get done and let it repair. And then when I got home, it was ready to go again. So that was doable. I mean, it was for 8 coins, but I went ahead and just put on slow repair.
Yeah, and and the other thing is too is people can, once they get a decent build going and figure out where to enter, because some people like to enter in different areas on that target. You get up, you go into work, you can auto it on Puffin, or hopefully soon the new apps that Kickstarter are coming out with, and you repair while you're at work, you come back home, you do it again and repair that fleet later on or overnight or while you're doing dinner with the family. I mean, I think it's I know a lot of people are upset because it's not a 115 do it for free every time, but you get it done much faster. You have the option to auto, and you get a chore out of the way, and if you plan it right, not taking any of your play time, so you can go and actually play instead. So
I think that's where the app is going to come in really, really handy, is the fact that you can do it. You're not spending a lot of time doing it. Put it on repair. If you do 3 targets in, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes or however long it takes, put them on repair. You can do it again when you get home. Everything's good, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's still free at that point. It's just repair when you're not there.
And it reduces a chore for when you're on the game wanting to play. So that's
Sure.
a good step. I mean, I understand people, like I said, are upset at the having to take damage, but I think it comes at a trade-off at both, the diversity of the target, so you can use different fleets, so you don't have to have a perfect build, and then the option to eliminate a chore essentially if you time your day right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what about the flag then? You guys looking forward to seeing it? Or what do you think is going to come of it?
Well, he said, what did he say? It was coming out in July. Is that what he said in the report?
Yeah.
Which times just at the time when the FM's supposed to change. So I'm presuming, like we were speculating earlier, that they've gone away from the idea of making us build 3 fleets a year to maybe just tweaking the current FM to fit with whatever they release. So instead of having to build a complete fleet, we're going to have to build maybe a flag and then yeah, I don't know what the third one's going to be. Maybe escalation. Maybe they might come out with a different rocket. They might come out with a different special again. I don't know. I mean, I was a little upset that they came out with that special in the FM right after, you know, a bunch of us had spent building the dragons already. But yeah, if that's what it's going to be, I would much rather see a tweak to the target and the flag come out, so I only have to worry about one ship instead of having to build a completely new fleet. I'm hoping that's what that signifies, but we'll see. We'll see when it comes out. We'll see what happens.
I was kind of half expecting to see CICs be involved more. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You and I both.
Well, we don't know. The flag might have one. We don't know.
But you would expect, like, hey, the guys, we're going to roll out this new feature on ships called CICs. It's going to be a great new way to play the game, and it's really going to improve the tactics. Here's the new FM ship. It doesn't have a CIC slot. Like, you know, what was the point in the first place? Do you know what I mean? Like,
do you remember how many questions we got on the page, though, about people like, I don't understand what this is. What are these? What's the best one? And those were very simple concepts for CICs. It's adding another level of complexity that I can appreciate, and personally I think is rather easy if you just sit down and read it, but sometimes people just can't be bothered to sit and read the blueprint and they just want a build. So for the FM, they're trying to make this as simple and accessible as possible, which includes minimum complexity. There's not a stacking ore on the Infernos. There's not a CIC on the Infernos. I think there might be one on the flag, or at the very least, there's going to be like a stacking ore, the only one where it's, oh, your ships all get plus 50 pen defense, plus 50 explosive, and plus 100% explosive damage or whatever. Just make it simple, make it easy. And the CICs added build time too. So they tried to, ironically, I think they tried to reduce that because they were shifting that all into those 5 armor slots with charged. But I don't think we're going to see the flag be complex, although I'd kind of like it to be because it's only the one. You don't have to do math for 5 stacking ores, etc.
I don't know. I just I think in some ways, you know, we heard discussions about the game meant to be getting more simpler earlier in the year, and I don't really feel that we've achieved that. So yeah, maybe some areas it does need to be simplified, but you know, PvP, for example, I mean, that was meant to be getting simpler, like with the T7 ships having less stats, but the way deflection's gone now and pass through, there's nothing simple about it. The amount of maths you have to do to figure out that actually all your weapons are just doing nothing, you know. Like, yeah, everything does pass through. That's it. Pass through. You know, we've took like years of guns and ships and you know, specials and you know, it's all irrelevant because every single shot is doing 350. Do you know what I mean? Like we've actually took a couple of years of a step back, I think, on that.
Did you jump out of 47?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, my group are having some fun, so I've gone to have some fun with them. I'll tell you about after.
You should have hung out here. You would have had a lot more fun. Mod 41's out hitting everybody, and he's very difficult to stop right now.
He got me. He got me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he got me. First person to get me in a week. Yeah, he got me.
Yeah,
it was not. I wouldn't even say it was close because it wasn't. No. I would be lying if I said it was close. You know.
Yeah. No. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. No, that was a wicked fleet. I've almost finished mine now after seeing his.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of those coming up on Thursday, I think.
Definitely, yeah. But no. So yeah, I mean, the game. I guess we do need it to be simplified, especially in areas like FM, Brian. I think you're right on what you're saying. I don't know. I guess I just thought the CIC was going to be a big thing in the future. Maybe it'll fizzle out like some of the other stuff we've seen. So another thing. Sorry, before I move on to the next thing, is there anything else anyone wants to talk about regarding FM?
I kind of don't know why they put in all these new prizes. This is like twice the amount that we normally got. And it's not even escalation, really. It's a trade-off. But a lot of people are concerned to like switch these trade-off things like the lowered cannon mount, the lowered rocket mount, whatever the new one for the ID is, onto the ships. It just takes so long to do. And if it doesn't work out, you've got a very damaged fleet that's 10 hours to repair, and then you've got to switch them all back. But
I know Ren's got a video. He's got a video where he's actually added the lower mounts, and it works a little bit better, but not significantly.
Over the course of the year, it might add up, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just to add something to that for those like me who are still finishing their dragons, pay attention and think about what's coming for the next 3 weeks. They've dropped the prices on the 115. They're going to continue to drop for the next couple of weeks, and then they're going to be gone. So as Brian said, they added a huge amount of prizes this week. I think there was like 4 in tier 5 or something like that. While the 115s have the higher price point, go ahead and hit those now. So if you can grind it out this week, I know it's going to be a pain in the rear end. If you can grind it out now and get out all of those prizes when the 115 price drops over the next couple of weeks and then goes away, you don't have to worry about trying to grind, hitting even lower targets to clear those out.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Get all the expensive stuff out, and that way you can have the other stuff to get when you have less points.
Yeah, so next week it would be nothing to get the tokens unless they add in. We know they're going to add in some charged armor, but unless they add in any new prizes, all you have to do next week is get the minimum amount for the chests.
Yeah.
Just in time to get them all back again after the next raid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I do want to make one comment on the lowered is it called? Lowered explosive mount. Ren initially had thought that it was not all that good, and after some more testing, he actually agreed that it was, because I cut a significant amount of time off of my times, and I started driving you drove right into the missiles and everything, and it turned out really well for me.
So you advising as a special?
I have it. Yeah, I have it. I took out explosive system 4 off of my build and put that one in its place. I'm not sure what Ren took off of his, but he took something off of his and put that on as well.
So you're just blitzing up close.
Yeah.
I'll try that. I mean, I think I've got explosive system 4 on mine at the minute, but I'm just adding the armors to the last 2, so I think I'll
I think that's what he took off, was explosive system on the 2 that had it, and then I think countermeasure or something like that
on the other ones.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that when you start blitzing, you start coming up real close on the edges, because both of us started doing this, is going right up along the edge of the targets. The Dragon's Breath aura, besides doing just that damage, it also reduces the damage that your enemies do to you. It's like minus 10% explosive, minus 10% pen for each dragon in your fleet. So that's something else to keep in mind.
I actually put that on mine after people started talking about it, because I'd intentionally saved one special slot, and of course it fit in there perfectly, and it's really good.
See, I also was wondering, we've seen this new armor now that's like the radioactive and ballistic combined, and while it does offer lower armor and charge pulls and whatnot, it gives you a higher resistance. It gives you 18% and 18%. Is that correct?
Yes.
Therefore, if you equip 4, you're getting much higher resistance values but less deflection.
Correct.
Or charge. So I'm wondering, in some scenarios, I can see that being beneficial, especially looking at how quickly the current targets are depleting our charge pools. If you look at a Bucky, for example, I mean, its charge pool could be gone after the first section of turrets. So if you had 4 of these on a Bucky instead of 2 Rs and 2 Cs, you would probably find on autopilot you would take less damage. Now I'm wondering, before you tell me I'm wrong, I'm wondering if we may see something in the very near future with other armor types like X and M, and if so, would we then take dragons to a much higher value?
I think it would. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just going to say, just a point on that. Although the new charge has the higher deflection, remember it has a lower reduction in damage. So you don't want to completely pull off all versions that you have, because the old ones deflect, I think it's 12,000, whereas the new ones are 3,000. And so even though the display is displaying incorrectly, the game actually takes the highest one. So you may still want to keep just one of the regular ones on there.
But if your charge pool is completely depleted after the first corner, then
it's
you're not taking anything off.
I think it's going to depend on the targets. Like, say, if we had the same, if the raid target stays the same as last month, I would change all of my armors on my buckies to the new ones, because the charge was gone by halfway through the target, especially if you were doing it on auto. Now for the FM, if they come out with one that combines ballistic and pen, not ballistic and pen, I'm sorry, explosive and pen, I may change out one of the M's and one of the X's, but my charge actually lasts through that target. So I don't know that I would want to change them all out for that. I mean, I might test one of them to see what happens, and then again, it also depends on when it comes out and if the targets change. I think it's going to be very target specific.
I guess my kind of way of thinking on it was like autopilot targets in specifically, like I guess the Bucky target, where I mean, I'm not one of those people that does the whole retreat, let your charge come back, go back in kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you've got no charge left, then resistance is always going to be worth more to you.
Oh yeah, no, man, I autoed the entire raid. I mean, I was very cognizant of what the hell was going on in those targets for my bucks, because that's all I had. You know, my hydras weren't done, and I was autoing, and I was taking advantage of some of the crews and stuff. But for that specific target last month, I would have changed every single one of the armors to the new one that does the combined resistances, because the resistances were more important in the long run in that target than the charges were. So
and with the FM, you really need to look at the exact armors that you're using, because they're more recent ones, ballistic, radio, and concussive, I think it was. They have very high charge reductions, but the missile and explosive, and I think the corrosive as well, don't. So then you get into a scenario where, do I take less damage if I take 500 off the top versus an 18% damage reduction, which I guess would be, okay, so it's after turret defense, so it's, I guess, feels more like 9 at any rate. But if I take this huge percentage off, and considering some of the damage by individual projectiles in some of these targets, I would almost swap, like I'd swap 3, if not all 5, off for this fabled MX charge hybrid. Just maybe leave 1 just in case. Although it also depends again on, you're keeping your charge through the target. So it depends. It's really nuanced and difficult. And when I can be bothered, I'll try to make up an equation to figure out what goes better where based on the damage you think you get. But it's a very interesting choice, and I'm glad they did it. And I'm glad it's unlimited. Do we know the build time on it? No.
Sure,
okay,
actually.
we don't.
Hold on.
I'm loading the game up too. I probably should have when I thought of it.
I just wanted to, while we're looking that up, welcome to Grey Wolf and to Snoopy.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, May, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks. Not bad. I'm having a good weekend because I've got nothing to rank on that one proto Tide Seeker. So that ranked itself, so I was fine.
Oh, good.
I, on the other hand, have overloaded myself with things to rank, so I'm just working my way through.
Yeah, I only had a couple of things. I did do a 5th dragon, and I had a couple of conqueror hulls, but other than that, everything else was pretty much done.
I think the answer is 25 hours. I'm trying to find something that's a quick build to double check.
1 day and 1 hour for that new armor.
25
isn't the
hours,
other
okay.
one day 14 hours? The original one, so then that would
I
be a
think
reduction.
so.
Is it?
That's with, well, this is with my my
Friends.
yeah, friends. Poor Roo.
I don't mind
the other
taking the
one on,
sacrifice so I can share what the builds are.
Let's see. So this one is, let me see, it goes to 5 days, 7 from 320. So that's a day and
It's an 11-hour difference for me, which is probably going to end up being about a 13 or 14-hour difference per armor across the fleet. But for people like us who already have the fleet full of built, we've got to take the old one off and put the new one on, and I'm not looking for it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm sure we're going to see new ones of these coming out with the other ones. But I do like what you said, Brian, that it's not limited. So for folks that don't have all of the charged armor, especially for the upcoming raid, this will really help them with air fleets. We do know that they are going to be running the charged armor TLC again prior to the next raid that was posted on the forum. But if you've only got the 5 from that plus the 5 from this, 10 pieces across 5 ships, this could
help.
Yes, well, it means it's not restricted either.
Yeah, and
it's not restricted.
Yeah, it's not limited. So the original charged limited is an hour, and if you don't have friends like Rue, a day and 18 hours, and the new one is a day and 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, it is a great thing to see the armor released, especially for people that haven't been in a position to collect charged armor. So kudos to Kix on that, because for a long time we discussed that there was many views and opinions about charged armor as being a bad thing for the game. Had limited the amount of points required to get them. So it's a step in the right direction by all accounts.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was looking at this and I was thinking, as these come out, is this a step towards phasing charged armors out? Because now it looks like we're going back to concentrating on resistances rather than the charge and the deflection from the charge.
Well, that was kind of why. That's not only are we seeing this kind of resistance thing, but if you look at the current raid targets, and then you look at how fast your charge pool depletes, that would tell me that Kixeye don't want us to have charge pools. That's my opinion. Kixeye are going to push fleets to the point where your charge is going to be gone in seconds, and you need like 99 resistance. That's where I think we're going, and that's why a multi-combination armor that gives you 18 and 18 is going to be much more valuable to you. And I wouldn't surprise me now if we do see these combo armors for X and M and X and CO, and we'll slowly probably see more come out.
Yeah, it was a nice little experiment with the charged armors. I just don't think anybody really liked them. They were supposed to be originally a luxury thing. They didn't. And if this is the first step towards phasing them out, great. That's going to be interesting.
Are these now escalation armors?
I don't know.
Guys, I also see the escalation launcher for the Hydra, right? Well, just while someone said escalation. I seen a comment where I haven't actually sat down and crunched numbers and looked at this weapon at all yet. I've been too busy with PvP, but does it have 20% less accuracy than the original launcher?
It might, but it doesn't matter in a siege target. It won't matter.
It's like 5%, but not against
you never miss buildings. You never miss buildings. Siege targets are all buildings. This doesn't matter. Oh my god. Also,
I seen a post in the TFC page, and someone was like, "Hey guys, why would I build this? Because it's got this." And I thought to myself, "Well, has it got that? Okay, well, let's talk about that."
And that doesn't even matter. That's the best part, because it has 5% less accuracy. Yes. Or I guess 20% less accuracy from a percentage standpoint, but it has 1.5 times the damage. So you're getting over that accuracy loss right quick. My question is, you have shockwave damage, right? And you have these little specials that buff it. But if you deal shockwave damage to a building, is that then buffed by your building damage bonuses? I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
It sounds like a
spread and splash also.
Sounds like a tinfoil hat moment.
The building and wall damage calculation is done based on the base damage of the weapon. Because if you remember, originally it would show the base damage of the weapon, and it would show a percentage increase for the wall and the building, and then they changed it to actually reflect the numbers themselves. So since Shockwave is a secondary damage, my initial gut feeling would be that no, it wouldn't in terms of the weapon itself. However, for siege damage, like the siege targeting and siege batteries, it may, because that also works for UAVs, which function somewhat kind of in the same vein. You know what I mean?
And
that's an interesting question.
And I was asking because, you know, we're thinking that sometimes these things might have deflections against certain damage types, and if you can get your shockwave damage up high enough, I think the shockwave damage would actually beat out, like, the main building damage, the damage that your shockwaves hit with, if building damage applies to them. So I know they're kind of encouraging you to go all on shockwaves, but I'm not sure how the actual, you know, numbers under the hood works, because if it does, then you might want to do that, because then the damage output with the new superchargy become massively higher, because you've got the X6 launcher supercharge, and that might just kill turrets faster in its own way, so that what was previously prized, that is reload, isn't as effective anymore. So yeah, I'd like to know that. If I may channel Hefe for a moment from Wednesday's show, I would very much like to have these sorts of things explained, or have at least an avenue to ask these questions and get, you know, straight, honest answers that will stay consistent. Because I'm trying to figure out how to use my brain in a strategy game, and I can't. Not as much as I might like to.
Nick, you said you had something on the Hydras?
Yeah, I've done all these raids with Hydras. I only got the bookies built last raid via the tokens I got in the raid to make them viable to do the S targets. And I've never seen anything to do with the shockwave that does really any use. The shockwave up to yet has not been big enough to serve any purpose.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen. You generally kill it from just the flechettes itself, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I get the shockwaves. Don't get me wrong, because I've had the I can't remember the name of the special now. It's the 50% reload and the ×3 supercharge thing on it. Flechette reloader, that's the one.
Right.
But it doesn't seem to do the actual shockwave damage. Doesn't seem to do anything. It covers an area about the size of 2 turrets, like so. So it doesn't even really reach the next turret.
Right. See, so one of the old launchers on the Hydra with siege targeting, siege battery does what, 74,000 on a 4 multi-shot. But now we have the new launcher system that does the shockwave damage increase of 40% with a shockwave of 17,000 to 18,000, and then we have a multi-shot of 5 with the supercharge of 6. I mean, it might get up there to the point where it's going to matter now. So on top of the flechettes being more damaging, and you get more out per reload, because the reload time is the same, you're going to have that additional shockwave. It might matter now. I mean, and in addition, we don't know, if they're going to tune the targets for the escalation weaponry either.
I'd already run the numbers on the new special versus a reload special. Reload special wins. It's kind of close, but not really. But mine was under the assumption that shockwave damage was not affected by building damage bonuses. If they are, I don't know. I might think that I might think it might switch, but I'd have to do that math too. I'd have to even know what happened. So it's very. I actually got to head out now. So I'll see you around.
Sorry.
Later, Brian.
See that, Brian. Take care, man.
Later, bro.
Well, guys, is there anything else I wanted to bring up on the FM stuff that we were discussing? No.
Oh, now I'm trying to multitask and play around with the Hydra build and see what I would swap out on this thing. See, I like he mentioned the reload special, but on mine I would probably pull out the high velocity rounds, keep the reload special, and add that new special in there. In which case, I'm gonna get, yeah.
Cool.
And that way, I would get both the launcher supercharge and the reload on top of it. So you're gonna be dropping shockwaves left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Holsh.
Hey, Holsh.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
It's going good.
I think the other thing, Liam, that came with the Rampage reports was he talked about a new Reaver trap.
Yeah. I was gonna jump on that. So yeah, he described that it's going to reduce accuracy and splash damage.
I think that was the two that were mentioned.
Which I don't know. I don't know where that fits right now. I don't know. Accuracy maybe for the missiles. I don't know if splash would help with I don't know. Are we expecting something new? Rockets, some kind of rocket ship or mortar ship. I know sloths have become a problem again. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yes,
It'd be
they have.
interesting to see how much armor it has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, do you know? I wonder what they're going to do with the gates. Like currently, right now, I would like to see them go up a level. Like I would like to be able to add another special, or do you know? I don't know. Like they're a good tactical choice, but I would just wish they had two special slots. I really do. I think there's so much more I could do with them. You know.
I think the thing is, though, it's getting way too base defense good, because bases can be unbeatable, more or less.
I think we're in the opposite with that right now with the new armor.
No. Nowhere near.
Well, I think PvP is just is linear. I would say it's linear right now. You know, there's not a lot of options. There's a very specific path of how to defend and a very specific path of how to attack that once they defend that way. You know, and it's costly to keep going in the swing of it as well. You know,
supposedly they're also changing it around. We're only halfway into they're adjusting the system so that it makes it kind of back like it was before, where you had lots of options and each base had to be done differently.
Yeah, like the rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. And I do see that, like, I do feel that it's improving. It feels better. I mean, most of last year I didn't play much PvP at all, and that's the honest truth. And this year I'm a lot more involved in playing it and enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. But it does feel like it's a rocky ride right now. That's for sure. And I know I did Rampage say it was like 4 months, like July or something, we'd start seeing some balance.
Approximately, I think that's what he said.
So, you know, there's a lot to go, probably implementing a lot of new turrets and a lot more options. So we do have that whole rock, paper, scissors effect. You know, you're going to be able to stop these 4 types of attacks, but if you do that, you're going to be weak to that type of attack. And
yeah,
it's
just getting there kind of hurts.
That's all. Getting there kind of hurts. And when they do things like release, you know, MSC, then a Howie, then an armor that stops a Howie in 2 weeks, in the space of 2 weeks, then that's when it's particularly bumpy for everyone. And everyone kind of is like, you know, hey, what the hell's going on? You know? But
right. So I did get an answer for the shockwave and siege battery siege targeting, and shockwaves are secondary damage, so it is not affected buy the siege targeting or siege battery.
Can you make sure hotspot's on?
And make sure whatever's on.
Make sure the what's on.
But yeah,
Well,
so shockwaves won't get done by that. But I mean, if you're going to be dropping a ton of shockwaves left and right with that special and that launcher, I mean, oh no, it'll be interesting. Sorry,
yeah, I don't know.
back to the
I don't know. I refitted Bucky's to the escalation weapon, and I guess I should do Hydras, but I'm going to be busy finishing up the Infernos. I think I've got like 13 days to have them all fully finished, and I'm not coining them. So
I didn't refit the Buckies, but I did do it on the Hydra for the extra boom.
well, I'm sat on like 20 days of Hydra tokens and like 15 days of Bucky tokens right now. So I could probably, I don't know if I could probably do the changes for free after my dragons are done. I probably could.
Well, you missed out on the special offer that Kix gave us of allowing us to change the escalation weapon on the Hydras, where it was basically a freebie for empty hulls and whatever the dismount cost was on the rest of them.
Yeah, that was a whoops.
That was weird.
I only had 2 ships, but you know what? I loaded up the 2 ships.
18 hours per weapon.
Yep.
Okay, guys. Well, we've got 80 minutes left of the show. I know we've kind of. I was worried that we weren't going to have enough to talk about, but it seems like we've managed to talk about a great deal in terms of the FM and whatnot. Was there anything else on Rampage's sort of stream that we didn't cover?
I'm not sure. We have the new hull is coming out. We got that.
The art department is still doing a pretty good job on designing hulls.
Yeah, definitely. I love the skins for the PvP hulls in Last Bounty. I really hope there's a chance to get them again this bounty. The Hope skin and the Boulder skin and whatnot. The one that makes the Boulder go gigantic. You know?
Supersize me.
Yeah, and the one that makes the Hope look like it's going to kill you. But yeah, so guys, VXP weekend is obviously going out right now, and we haven't touched on it yet. But I think, I don't know, is it largely just the same as it's always been? Certainly. Yeah,
I think the issue that a lot of players are having, if we're not as lucky as Nick to not have anything to rank, these hulls take an inordinate amount of time to repair when it's not half-time raid repair. Mm-hmm. So, like, I think I had one fleet I put together to repair overnight, and it was something like 16 hours to repair, and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So yeah, if you have a bunch of stuff to try and rank, you're going to be hurting.
Well, I sorry, no, go on. I'll let you guys go.
This time I did coin my rank, and I spent $20 ranking probably. What do I got? 4 fleets?
Mm-hmm. Nice. Anyone else? Sorry.
It wasn't luck that I've got nothing to rank. It was the fact that I've spent so much time refitting stuff. The stuff I've built that gets outdated before it's even finished, that I refit again. That's why I've got nothing to rank. Not that it's just because I can't build anything.
So you just keep on refitting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I cranked out chameleons. Those things take an insane amount of time to repair. I had to finish repairing my dragons because those weren't fully ranked. I had 2 missile cruiser thingamabobbies that I still haven't really built. They're just kind of hulls blanks because I'm like, I'm back out of PvP again because I just can't keep up with that. Mm-hmm. I still had a couple of onslaughts that I still had to. Right. I mean, I had a bunch of stuff that just I just can't bring myself to blow, 20 to 50 gold to rank all this stuff in one weekend. So I'm like, I get them up to what I can, and then that's it. And I might throw a couple coins here or there to speed them up, to squeeze in a couple more. But it's just a lot of repair time when you have a lot of hulls to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, all this is quite odd actually, because normally VXP weekend is a time when you go out and rank your PVE holes. But for the first time since VXP weekends began, I had no PVE holes to rank.
Oh.
Like every PVE hole I have is ranked. Is gold. You know, the last ones I did were the Infernos. Last VXP weekend, but I had like 10 to 15 PvP ships that needed ranked.
Yeah,
So
and those are difficult. Actually, that actually brings up a good point. I know Rue has mentioned this several times in the past. It's not, these targets are not targets to rank defenders on, but you can go in if you have like Buccaneers or Cannoneers. Even you can go in and complete the target, and you'll get defender tokens. And like just load up on those things, because if you have a defender that you're building, if you're just catching up and you got a hope going, you're not going to rank these things in that target. So you want those defender tokens to help rank them up. The PvP ones, you know, I would like to start seeing maybe 3 defenders and one conqueror one in there, because I know you can craft them in your well, not gantry, but in your base, but it's 6 hours a pop, and then you have to remember that you're in there and all that other stuff. So,
and they're only 5,000 apiece.
Yeah, and they're only 5,000 apiece when you need 100,000. So, yeah, you know, but yeah, definitely grab some defender tokens. You want to have those on hand just in case anything comes up or you need to build another defender or whatever. But yeah, no, Liam, the PvP ones, I'm still ranking PvP ones, and I craft those conqueror tokens all the time, and I still can't get them ranked up.
Well, I mean, I had 3 MSC that were anchored. I had 3 sloths that were anchored. I had 2 boulders that had nothing. 1 boulder that was anchored. A sloth that still needed a little bit. I mean, by the time I mashed them all together and went out and did it, I mean, it was a lot of ranking, and I had a few silver salties saved. And I mean, it took me a good hour and a half to 2 hours just to keep smashing them and killing my fleets over and over again just to get that rank. I mean, and don't get me wrong. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, so for the defender fleets, what quantity of tokens are we gonna be wanting to hold on to for doing those?
Hell, as I have a chance, I go in and hit 1 or 2 targets somewhere. I think I have like 30 tokens. I know I got friends of mine that they're maxed out at 99, but I can't. I can barely bring myself to do chores. I can't sit through all of that.
Well,
and that's what I did. I hit them with my bucks. I basically ran my bucks until they died, and I think I ended up with 42.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you've got Buckies or Hydras, you can go in and actually just kill them. Even if you're ranked, go in and kill them and just stack up on the tokens. Like, I think I've got about 50 stacked unintentionally. So yeah, I mean, it's worth just going in and getting some stacked, because that's you covered for a good while.
Yeah, there's nothing like popping out a new defender hole and having it ranked in like 10 seconds.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome Barry, and who else joined? We have David.
Hey.
Well, welcome Spac. Is it Spac?
Yeah, it is.
It's been a long time, Spac, since we've spoken.
Yeah, it's been a while. Defender hulls is easy. Getting the tokens, you just go clean up after everybody else. There's always half damage targets. You get loaded, costs you nothing.
Yeah, I've done that several times too. Especially Robin. I think Robin mentioned that last time.
Yeah, Robin loves.
So I was a little more cognizant of it.
Okay, guys. Well, we've got 10 minutes left, roughly, of the show. Is there any topics anyone wants to discuss? I'll leave it open to you guys to just rant about anything you want. 10 open minutes. Okay.
It's rant time. I mean, it's Brian flip a table time, guys. Come on, anything you want.
You are really quiet bunch tonight.
I'm kind of shocked. Usually we have somebody that has something on mind.
I can say something.
Right.
I'm a bit not like I've got this thing where I have to scrap hulls because I've got no space in my dock. So before last bounty, I scrapped vanquishers, and then they sold vanquishers, and they worked really, really well in base defense. So I've scrapped rages, and I've never used my rages. Lo and behold, in the retrofit lab, they're usable again. You know, every time I scrap something, it comes out as being sold by kicks or usable, or I want tokens for stuff that I've scrapped that I've coined to build that never ever used.
Yeah, they've got to do something. Whether it's a second set of fleet slots. I can talk slots.
Excuse me.
I said slots.
Slots.
Yeah.
A second set of fleet slots for conquerors, or increase the amount, because you've got so many chore fleets that you have, and then you've got expedition fleets that people are running and keeping, and it's just. I mean, I very rarely scrap ships, and I've scrapped a bunch in the last couple of weeks. And then, as you said, they come back and makes it viable again.
I've scrapped a few old basers like not rages, vendettas, and stuff like that.
Well, and then look,
I wouldn't scrap anything unless you absolutely have to at the moment.
That's what I've been doing. As I need a haul, I'll scrap one.
I suspect they might be doing something about that soon.
Well, I mean, we've seen the retrofits on the Rages and the Prides, and thankfully, I have actually still held on to the Rages and Prides. But I was at a stage where I had my storage full, and I was at max ships, and I needed to clear space because I was building a lot of, like, new basers, and I was holding on to some really old basers. So I ditched Rage Fleet, not Rage Fleet. What was the first? The one before Vendettas. It was
Prides.
No, it was the one before. It was the one before Vendettas.
Revenge.
The Revenge. Yeah. So I ditched Revenges. I ditched Vendettas, and then there was another one, a launcher one. Oh, what was it called? No, there was a flagship of it as well. It was really good.
The nuclear cruiser?
No, it wasn't the Fury. Fury was the corrosive one, wasn't it? Come out after it. It doesn't matter anyway. But
the
retribution.
Yeah. So I scrapped all of them, and I'm kind of that's it. And I'm kind of working my way through now. Like, as a new baser comes out, I have to scrap a baser from.
Retribution. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. So so it is a shame. It is a shame, but if anything, the res comes in handy. That's about it. But looking at the stats on the R5 Rages and the Prides, I mean, they could be useful again. They look pretty decent.
Yeah, and I scrapped mine, unfortunately.
And the thing is, with players so heavily focused on deflection of penetrative, explosive, and ballistic, there is definitely a gap for those damage types. Radioactive and corrosive. There is definitely niches for those damage types right now on guards. So, but I'm not CCing the retrofits. No way. Too much.
Yeah, I'd have to come over there and smack you if you did that, man.
Well, it's just the retrofits are always too long. I always think they're too long. Like, it's okay up until about T3, and then T4 goes something silly like 7 days, and normally T5 is like 14 days to a month, depending on what it is, and that's just too much. Do you know what I mean?
Well, speaking of that,
think about who they're aimed at. Those retrofits on the lower level fleets, they'll be aimed at the mid to low level players. They don't want to spend 2 weeks retrofitting shit, do they?
Especially when the retrofit doesn't apply to the flag.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. Okay.
And that's the same as.
Did we lose Liam?
Sounds like it.
I think we did. Yeah, the weight doesn't apply to the.
And we lost Rue.
We're losing everybody tonight.
Yep.
Well, the one thing I was thinking about that is that people need to also keep in mind, especially the lower players, that when the retrofit lab, if you look at the retrofit lab, when you do the first several levels of retrofit on your weapons or on your specials or anything like that, you're going to have a large amount of change happen very quickly. And then once you get up to the higher numbers, it's going to change slower. So you can spread yourself around, retrofit a bunch of different things, speed, weapons, those types of things, and get a big chunk done for each one of them. to raise your all around performance, and then go back and finish out each of the different ones to make it work better.
I just wonder if any of them are worth doing for players that are up and coming, because as you work your way towards the point of doing PvP, right? Because you still want to concentrate on your FM and then your PvE first, so you can get to the point of doing PvP. Is it going to be a little like too little, too late at that point?
Yeah, they need to be. They need to be faster for the lower level players. It takes too long to get all your R15s done. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
Game.
Well, but there are certain ones like Speed System and there's a few of them that are, kind of critical. But yeah, after that point, there are a bunch. I mean, there are a lot of them there that you're not going to use. And I've noticed over the last year that as I need them, I gang up on them and try to get them up. And I mean, 20% is 20%.
Yeah, I was thinking mostly like some of the PvP stuff that they put in there to make, like the hulls, but in particular, like the more I think about those hulls in the retro lab, because yeah, the numbers look good, but at the same point, you're not going to be taking that up against like a top 10%er's base, and I don't even know if they're going to be really viable to the upper mid levels either.
I don't think the hulls would be, but I know. Just for basic usage for FM and stuff like that, it does make a big difference in the speed of your firing. Maybe not the hulls per se, but like the advanced lab, that type of thing is where I find the most. And then also some of the shield technology is the same. I don't think I have, but half a dozen hulls that are actually maxed out, and that was just because I didn't know better.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the other stuff in there I do like seeing it in there. I've done a ton of them, and it does make a difference, especially when you start messing around with some of the stuff that's resistance based you use in your PvE environments. So yeah, I guess it depends on which one it is. I just think that there's a lot of stuff that they have that it looks like they're gearing it towards like mid or lower level players, but it just takes too much time. Like Barry said, it's just you can't. It's not going to be worth it for them to do that and then
Well, and you have to stay on top of it. I mean, you have to every day you have to do your next one. Set your alarm clock type thing, and the only way to actually do that is set a and make sure you got the uranium to just as soon as it pops up, you hit it again for the next one, and just.
And another thing that I would like to see is for the ironclad to be put into the retro or the foundry, because that's a key thing to get uranium for your lower levels, because that would help out a lot, because one of those can do a whole dub if built properly. So
yeah, whatever happened to the foundry?
Not much.
Went the way of the arena.
Kind of like level 31 of the R&D and the arena, and
because uranium is really hard to get at the lower levels, because the only way other than people to prep for you is to either grind out on cargo for 20 apiece, or do the FM for the random amounts that are in the boxes, which are more than often a lot lower than the max amount.
Yeah. I would like to see that. I would like to see the ironclad in the foundry. I would like to see a couple of things just changed in the foundry, or just added to it, or something, so that way the players have some options there for them.
And make it shorter so that someone that is just beginning isn't so far behind for so long.
Yes, absolutely.
LRAS. 7-day build time.
I mean, yeah, I don't understand some of the timings that they have, especially when they say that it's geared towards a low level player. Like some of the hulls that we have, the older hulls, should be like, I don't know, 2 hours to build, man. Like Hellrace are a good example, 2 hour build time, because they're certainly not gonna lower the build time on weapons and specials and armor that much, because they they cross into other builds. But
well, along with that, I think the in tune with that is also thinking about all of the other little tiny hulls that you get that way back when used to be monstrous, Leviathans and all that. They're basically useless. I mean, you can't hardly get cargoes with them.
Yep.
And it takes so long to build them in order to get cargoes. It's kind of like, you got to kind of speed that end of the spectrum up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've advocated for hell well over a year now for, when a player comes back or a player is starting, especially for new players, they've got to start them out somewhere other than where they're starting out now. Like, there's got to be a basic level of tech that they're given now, because it's just, the game has progressed so far that it doesn't make any sense in any fashion to have what they have right now for those players.
I mean,
you've gotten them starting out way back further than what it was 5 years ago, just because of the nature of the creep, like you said.
They've already said they're going to look at mid-level progression. I'm sure I heard that somewhere. I think they know that the current progression system isn't up to scratch, but at the same time, they've had a lot to do lately with changing formats and everything. So I think they'll start working on these lower priority things now, and I hope they do.
Yeah, that is true.
If they would just speed up the time that you can get Punishers instead of having a 5.5-day build time for them, then that would really speed up the whole process, because there's a whole bunch of useful tech in the FM. It's just that it takes so long to build all the holes that you need to get the points that you are just takes way too long.
Yeah, and the FM is such a.
Well, I was going to say, I think alongside with that is that because a Punisher is such a useful ship, that would, like you said, that would increase if they could make or have the FM still, the lower level still available to use, say, a Punisher as a base level, so that a person could build Punishers with mortars on them. It could build them with cannons on them. It could build them with whatever on them, depending on what the current FM would be, to get them, get them a toehold. And once they have a toehold, of course, obviously, with time and use, it gets better.
See, I want to go a step beyond that. Like, they should start new players with an FM fleet. Maybe not a great one, but something that they could at least grind the FM out with.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean,
even if it's the little low-level targets and.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck, I grinded out 3 million off of 40s.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, they should start with something that's at least somewhat viable, and at least in the small targets for FM. Because as it stands now, it's just, anyone that's going to come in trying to play this game is just going to get so frustrated within the first day, they're not coming back.
Yeah. I think the issue with the FM is that if you have a little fleet, like if you have battle barges, you can't do the 40 target at all. Unless you have someone prep it for you, then you hit the outpost for the points. But other than that, if you don't know the trick to go to the 111s and 115s and get the little tower in them, then you aren't getting points without help.
Yeah.
Yeah, some good ideas. Okay, does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? Okay, looks like no. Well, thank you to everybody that joined us on the show tonight, and a big thank you for those of you that joined us in chat. We certainly appreciate it, and we'll talk to you all next Tuesday.
All right, have a good evening, everybody.
Good night.
Have a good night, people.
Bye.
Night.